Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am back in the building for another podcast. And I'm going to be doing things a little bit differently this time around. This is the newest episode of the No News, Just Facts podcast. And this is, I don't know what episode this is on, but newest episode. First and foremost, I do just want to give a shout out to everybody out there who is still rocking with my YouTube page. I'm just trying my best to get out as much content as possible. Life be life, and sometimes. So, without further ado, we're about to get into it. So first thing I want to get into, well, what is the first thing I want to get into? So, I do want to talk about. I don't know how I can get into this. This is I have my notes here. Got a lot going on here, so gonna start from up here. So the journey of Generation Y. I was born in Generation Y. Being born into a world of rapid transformation, both beautiful and tragic, is a story of resilience, trauma, and hope. We came into this world amidst major global shifts, witnessing the dawn of the internet and the rise of technology that would forever change how we communicate, connect, and learn. But just as quickly as we were given the keys to the world through the web, we were burdened with its weight. 9/11 was our first true collective memory of trauma. I can imagine myself as a child being at school and the 9/11 attacks happened and nobody could explain to little children in elementary school like what's going on, why is there airplanes going into towers. um we watched the twin towers fall, and with them our childhood illusions of safety and security. This event was more than just a tragedy. It marked the end of innocence for many of us. And then came the e- economic crashes that followed. First in 2008 with the housing market collapse, which shattered the dreams of financial stability for our parents and ourselves. We learned early that nothing is guaranteed. Generation Y was also witness to the rise of social media, which is what we're kind of living in now. A platform that connected us like never before, but also exposed us to the new forms of comparison, social anxiety, and self doubt. The pressure to curate a life worthy of likes and comments led many of us to an unhealthy cycle of seeking validation from virtual strangers. This was our version of coming of age. And if you think about it, it's our generation's addiction, to be completely honest, because before, the generation before us know nothing about this, or they only got like the I guess you can say they only got a blink of what we ended up getting as far as like the internet, because the internet was around, computers were around, but you had to have money to have the internet for real. So, and yet, despite the turbulence, we are the generation that has fought for progress. We marched for social justice, stood for equality, and demanded accountability from institutions. We've embraced technology not just for its conveniences, but for its power to amplify voices that had been silenced for too long. But here's the thing, we carry trauma with us, the trauma of a world that expected us to thrive amid chaos, the trauma of endless comparison, and the trauma of witnessing so much loss, both personal and collective. It's a complex mix of hope and hurt that defines us, shapes our interactions, and influences how we navigate the world. As I segue into more personal terrain, this collective trauma bleeds into our individual experiences, particularly for those of us who are introverts, like myself. For many, growing up in this loud, chaotic world turned us inward. Introversion became a necessary survival tool. We learned to value our own company over the noise of the world around us. And being an introvert in an extroverted world, as an introvert, being social feels like stepping into a boxing ring. There's an unspoken pressure to perform, to be charming, engaging, and present, when all you want to do is retreat into your safe space. It's not that introverts dislike people, it's that social interactions drain us in a way that are hard for extroverts to understand. I've learned to navigate this by setting boundaries. I've accepted that it's okay to decline invitations, to not be at every event, to cherish alone time as much as others cherish social time. But being antisocial in a world that celebrates extroversion can be isolating. It's an internal battle to balance wanting to connect with others and needing time to recharge. Every time I put myself out there, it feels like I'm exposing a part of myself that I'm not ready to share. And that's just the truth. Like, even around those I call my friends, it's like sometimes I'm quite comfortable being alone, if if that makes any sense. Honestly, it's not like I don't want to go out and hang with people and everything like that. It's just that I don't want to give too much of myself away to where it 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 feels like a door where you can just open anytime you want to. Um Talking on the phone, something so simple for many, is an anxiety trigger for me. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. The unexpectedness of it, the real-time pressure to respond, to engage without the safety net of nonverbal cues is overwhelming. And yet, I also crave connection. Texting allows me to control the flow of the conversation, but there's something intimate and immediate about phone calls that I sometimes miss, even if they're stressful at times. Then there's the paradox of introversion, loving the solitude, the peace, the ability to reflect, but also experiencing loneliness. I love time alone. It's where I find clarity, creativity, and peace. But solitude can sometimes slip into isolation, and that's when the loneliness creeps in. And it's a delicate balance that I'm constantly trying to manage. Um, if you deal with that, you just gotta find your way out of it, man. Like loneliness and all that. You gotta stop being depressed, man. You gotta like being alone is good. Being by yourself is fine, but don't be alone for too long. You know, if you gotta go out, if you don't, if you gotta go outside, man. Don't shut yourself off from the world. So, moving on. Gonna be moving on to gonna be moving on to um the next part of this journey. Um Going to be acknowledging the passing of a legend, Frankie Beverly, one of the most influential musicians of our time. He left a legacy that will resonate for generations. His music, filled with soul and truth, became his soundtrack of countless lives, bringing people together across different eras. Songs like Before I Let You Go really captured the essence of joy, celebration, and unity. His work, his work transcended generational gaps, and his influence can be seen in the music of today's artists. Frankie Beverly's contribution to music was more than just melodies and rhythms. It was a reflection of human experience, filled with love, pain, joy, and hope. In a way, his passing serves as a reminder that life is fleeting and we must appreciate greatness while it's still here. But sadly, our society has a habit of glorifying artists only after they're gone. Um, it's as if death unlocks a new level of respect and admiration that wasn't there before. I mean, even though, I mean, his music will never not get played at house parties and, picnics and family reunions, things of that nature. But I do want to send out the rest in peace to Frankie Beverly. My thoughts and prayers are with Frankie Beverly's family. Um, it's so crazy. I saw a video of like New Orleans really showed out for Frankie Beverly. I'll highlight that on the next podcast. But um, yeah, New Orleans really took their time to give him a tribute. They did like a whole second line type of thing for him, and they even like had like a makeshift casket for him and everything. I'm like, man, they really like gave him like a real like celebration of life. So rest in peace to Frankie Beverly. Thoughts and prayers with his family. And he may be gone, but his energy is still in the world. And who knows? Maybe in the future we may get another talent that is reminiscent of Frankie Beverly and his energy. So rest in peace to Frankie Beverly. So gonna be moving on. Gonna be moving on and getting into things here. Our society is obsessed with the defunct and the dead. Um, just kind of piggybacking off of what I was talking about with Frankie Beverly. We often ignore, overlook, or outright dismiss individuals, brands, and entities until they're no longer active or present. Once they're gone, and suddenly they're legends. And I don't necessarily want to say that I mean anybody from the past because there are a bunch of musicians from the past who have paved the way and made names for themselves. But I want to speak more openly about like the newer talents, right? So, um once they're gone, suddenly they're legends. This phenomenon has been seen time and time again. And I could name some artists. Nipsey Hussle, Pop Smoke, XXS Tentacion, and those are all rappers. I'm not even gonna get into like the singers, but like the rappers especially, they do that. Um, Rich Homie Quan, who recently passed away, was once a rising star that was celebrated for his unique sound and his contribution to the trap genre. But as the years passed, the industry and fans began to move on, and Quan's music no longer was in the same level it was when he first came out. Um, his career seemed to fade to the background. Yet we all know what will happen if, God forbid, he were to pass away tomorrow, right? Which it did happen. He unfortunately passed away, and rest in peace to him. But before Rich Homie Quan passed away, nobody was talking about Rich Homie Quan. Nobody was talking about his music or anything like that. But everybody now is reminiscent of, oh yeah, when he was with Rich Gang and people, all this fake support, bro. It's just so stupid to me. Um, it feels disingenuous. But I I segue that into something else that also makes some sense. Like the same could be said for Lil Wayne. A few months ago, people were calling him washed, claiming that his music was in the freezer. His legendary status seemed to be in question. But now, because Kendrick Lamar was chosen over him for the Super Bowl to perform, now there's this big fat outrage. Oh, yeah. How can you have Lil Wayne? How can you have the Super Bowl in New Orleans and not have Lil Wayne performing? Blase, blase. Claiming he's being disrespected. Like, where was all of this energy? Where was all of this energy when Lil Wayne was just, just dropping music and doing features in the past like year or 2 years? Like, where was all of this energy? Where was all this energy? Because it was nowhere to be found. It was nowhere to be found at all whatsoever. But now, oh, Lil Wayne is this and Lil Wayne is that. Like, bro, knock it off. Knock it off. You didn't have that same thought about him in the past. So, after all the outrage on the internet, Lil Wayne responds to not being selected by the Super Bowl. He expressed his disappointment, and some felt his reaction was borderline on entitlement. It's the same thing you guys said. You said, how can you have a Super Bowl in New Orleans and not have Lil Wayne be the person performing? Lil Wayne was thinking, like, hey, I'm for sure a shoo-in. It's going to be me. I'm going to be the one that's going to get to perform, you know, not factoring in that they could select somebody else if they wanted to. But on a spiritual level, does any of it truly matter? Is this outrage over Lil Wayne not being picked for the Super Bowl halftime show? Is it not just another distraction? Because there are bigger issues at play, you know? Focusing on a football game. Excuse me. Focusing on a football game. It's not really that serious. I don't think it's that serious. Um but as I segue, I am not really a political person, but the Donald Trump Kamala Harris debate happened last week. Just a little rundown. The debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump offered a glimpse into the future of America's political landscape. On one side, Harris positioned herself as a champion for progress, equality, and unity. She spoke on issues like healthcare, education, and the economy with a calm and measured tone, aiming to present herself as a stabilizing force in a tumultuous time. Trump was using uh, uh, unapologetic talk and just he was all over the place trying to just appeal to his base of people and support system, getting into law and order and economic growth and just things like that. But in the essence, throughout this whole entire thing, I just kind of was saying, I'm like, man, both of them are lying through their teeth. Politicians are the biggest liars on this green earth that we are living on. Two people making promises they know they're not going to keep because they don't run nothing. They run nothing. Presidents do not run anything. At least American presidents don't run anything. They don't run anything. They don't run anything. They're just the picture on the wall. That's it. They're not gonna go and make any real changes unless the House and the Senate, House of Representatives and the Senate decide they want that to happen. And if they don't want it to happen, if they don't want it to happen, if the House of Representatives don't want it to happen, if the Senate don't want it to happen, hell, even if the Supreme Court don't want it to happen, it's not gonna happen. So all of this talk, all this sweet talk is just so good. It's so nice. It's amazing. But at the end of the day, they're both lying. It's just who can lie better to get the votes of people. But at the end of the day, it's like they pick whoever they want to put in the White House. That's it. They pick whoever they want. It's not your decision to vote does not matter. Regardless of what anybody wants to tell you, it does not really matter. It's a rigged system. So they know who they're going to put in the White House. They just want you to think you have some type of power. That's all I'm saying. But hey, we're going to move on from that. And I'm going to talk about, even though most of these things are just old right now, I just decided I'm going to do it. So I'm going to be shifting gears here. We're going to be talking about Shannon Sharpe and him calling out Chad Ochocinco for being late. It's like, should Ochocinco be held to a higher standard because he's in sports media? Or was this a moment that Sharpe should have kept private? Because a lot of things just don't need to be online. A lot of things don't need to be public. Publicly shaming a coworker or publicly shaming a coworker can, strain any partnership, brand, and one has to wonder how this will affect their relationship moving forward. It's just like, you know, because they're real friends outside of the internet stuff. But even more surprising was the fact that Shannon Sharpe had this staged act go on, to promote the new bedroom pill I guess partnership sponsorship that he has with Rose Sparks. Um this moment streamed on Instagram Live blurred the lines between marketing and personal brand. Um for the most part, I think that since everything that's happened, I don't think it really, it was a good marketing scheme. Especially since Shannon Sharpe doesn't really get on Instagram Live. He said it was an accident, but really it wasn't an accident. It was just a stunt. So, on that aspect, it's good marketing. Would I do something like that? No. But it got everybody talking, and it did what it did. It's good though. Um, but now I want to get into the bread and butter of why I decided to record this thing. And of course, I couldn't live stream this. I'm probably gonna do another. More than likely gonna do another podcast, maybe tomorrow or the next day or something like that. I know for sure I'm gonna be doing something on the weekend, but um, we're gonna be getting into the new Kendrick Lamar. I'm gonna be digging deeper into a thing of relevance as we go into the new song called it doesn't really have a title, but I would assume it's called Watch the Party Die. This track released on September 11th. I understand that it's September 18th, but it's this is just now how I'm getting this is just now when I'm getting to it. So September 11th is a day of significance, obviously. 9/11, the tragic events that happened. So I, Kendrick Lamar really has something with dates. He drops this on September 11th. He dropped Euphoria on my birthday, which is April 30th, 1992, and there's probably significant things that have happened on that April 30th. He dropped what is it? He dropped what is the name of he dropped a couple diss songs throughout. Not Like Us was released on a certain day too. So it's a lot of different things that are really cryptic about how he drops music and how dates are important to him, whether he says it or not. I I truly believe that like he has a thing about dates, like time, dates, a specific day, you know? Um, it's layered with spiritual warfare themes, in my opinion. I mean, you heard me play it already. Um, yeah, spiritual warfare themes. Kendrick's lyrics go into a battle between war and peace, righteousness and corruption. He speaks from a place of frustration, exhaustion, and clarity as he grapples with the state of the world around him. Kendrick Lamar's new song explores themes of societal decay, violence, and the artist's internal conflict between morality and aggression. The lyrics criticize individuals who exploit gluttony, lies, and self interest, contributing to a broken world where the truth and integrity are abandoned. Um, he also expresses his frustration with a culture that glorifies superficial success, violence, and false idols, while juxtapositioning these destructive tendencies with his desire for spiritual peace. It goes like this: It's time to watch the party die. Set the tone. It's time to watch the party die. And I'm breaking it down line by line. So buckle up. I'm doing this line by line. I'm breaking it down. So the introduction, right? It's time to watch the party die. It sets the tone for rejecting societal norms and values that have become wicked. The use of party symbolizes a collective indulgence in sin, excess, and moral decay. He criticizes society for reaching a point of no return and calls for an end to superficial celebration of life's darker elements. The next few lines: We even kill the killers because they like taking innocent lives, expresses the harsh reality of responding to violence with more violence, highlighting the lack of peaceful resolutions in a world driven by corruption. Lamar grapples with whether violence is justified in certain circumstances, showing the brutal cycle of vengeance. Next line. Um in the song, he's also focusing on materialistic lifestyles, especially the line that says, they glorify scamming, you get chipped over this credit card, pointing out how shallow ambitions and quick fix solutions lead to destruction. He further critiques influences for promote or excuse me, influencers for promoting superficial values instead of meaningful change. The repeated prayer to God shows Lamar's internal struggle for peace, as he says, Dear God, please give me peace, represents his plea for spiritual guidance amid the chaos. He juxtaposes his rage against the system with his desire for redemption, seeking divine intervention to maintain clarity and purpose. Lamar's reference to street niggas and the corporate guys, the rappers that report the lies, illustrate the fusion of street culture and corporate greed. He critiques how both worlds contribute to a false narrative, leading to misguided values, especially in the youth. His vision for a new earth filled with beautiful people suggests a hope for a reawakening and reconstruction of societal norms based on truth. Um, the line, sometimes I wonder what Lecrae would do, is Kendrick Lamar acknowledging the more peaceful path of rappers Lecrae and D1, in which they're Christian rappers. He's torn between following their examples of grace and faith or taking a more aggressive approach to bring justice to a corrupt world. And of course, he's been crashing out since the beef of 2024 with him and Drake. Lecrae's influence is symbolic of maintaining Christian faith amid industry chaos. Lecrae is a highly influential Christian rapper. He's basically like a Christian, I don't know, how would I put it? Lecrae is like Jay-Z in Christian rap. That's just my opinion on it. He's known for bridging the gap between mainstream hip hop and Christian music. As both an artist and an entrepreneur, he has been instrumental in shaping the Christian hip hop music scene while also earning respect from secular audiences for his lyrical depth and musical talent. Now, I mean, just to keep it real and be honest, um, Christian rap in the past has not been something that was taken serious in any type of context because I know this. Um versus like gospel music that has like its own genre and is very well respected. You know, they are showcased and given, you know, the treatment that they're given as far as the Grammys and being sold, the music being sold in stores and everything like that. In the beginning, Christian rap was not like that. So, that's just to get into uh who he is as a person. Lecrae, and also D1 is another one. He's from New Orleans. Um, he's really, just my opinion, I feel like he's one of those he's a Christian rapper also, but he's one of those rappers who's like Christian rappers who's like fearless, and he's always gonna call out the how do I say this? The rambunctiousness that has always run rampant in hip hop rap music. You know, the constant talking about drugs, the constant disrespectfulness of women, um gang banging, all of that. He calls it out, and he's unashamed of calling it out. Calls out rappers, calls out just hip hop in general for being what it is and not having any real positive influence attached to it, you know, because you can't be in rap music and be positive. You know, that's why somebody like a Logic gets the amount of like flack he gets because they call him corny, they call him whack, they call him, you know, all of this because for a good amount of, you know, if you look at how his music is, it's positive. It's self-reflecting. It's really tapping into the mental health aspect of things. But I believe that's why he gets a lot. I believe that's why somebody like a Logic gets a lot of flack. Um, maybe a Joyner Lucas doesn't get a lot of play because he's lyrical and he can get into a space of mental health and just things like that. Not everything is on the same wavelength as far as like hip hop and rap goes, but one universal thing throughout hip hop and rap is that it's very hard to find positive music that is uplifting in hip hop and rap. That's why it's not taken as serious as other genres. And we have so much, and I'm gonna be honest, I think that rap and hip hop has nobody to blame with that but ourselves. We allow two rappers to argue with each other and argue about senselessness, argue about who snitched on who, you know, who's a more gangster rapper, you know? Like, why are we doing that? Why is that going on in this genre? But, you know, that's, to say the least, that's what it is with that's really what it is with with hip hop and rap music, and I'm glad that hip hop and rap music is being like exposed for what it is. Um, that's just as far as I can see. Um, the kids live tomorrow. Well, hold on, let me go back up because I'm going line by line. The more visible you get, the more your spiritual is tried, is a line that he said, and it reflects on the toll fame and success take on one's mental and spiritual state. Lamar recognizes that the higher his profile, the more his morals are tested, and the more difficult it becomes to stay grounded in his principles. And then there's a line, I don't know if it's in here, but he says something about people say like, "Oh, he doesn't drop enough," and he like really just talks about how like you can get burned, you can just basically get burned out from dropping so much music. Like look at all the rappers who drop a lot of music or drop too much music. I can use an example of I can name three rappers. I don't know if they still do it like this, but Tech Nine is a rapper who at one time was just dropping music constantly because he thought he was going to get pushed off of his pivot. Currency is another rapper who was dropping a lot of music because he thought he was going to get pushed out of his relevance. When it doesn't matter what it doesn't matter as long as your core fans mess with it. As long as your core fans love it, forget about everybody else. That's really what it is for me. Going on to the next line. The kids live tomorrow because today the party just died, which is like the hook. And this signifies the end of a destructive era and the potential for a brighter future. Uh, Lamar envisions a world where the youth are no longer subjected to the same cycles of greed, violence, and moral decay. Overall, Watch the Party Die is a deep reflection of Kendrick Lamar's disillusionment with the world and balance between seeking justice and maintaining spiritual integrity. His critique of modern culture combined with introspective spiritually creates a compelling commentary on the current state of society and his role in changing it. The spiritual warfare Kendrick is experiencing reflects the larger conflict many artists feel as they navigate fame, success, and personal growth. The battle between Kendrick and Drake is a continuation of this struggle. Going into a second round of this rivalry seems ill-advised because we've seen a thing with movies as far as like sequels not really living up to the original. Um look at the sequels of look at sequel films like The Matrix Reloaded or The Exorcist. Often the magic of the first is lost in the sequel and audiences are left wanting more. And with all that being said, I would rather not have another round. I mean, Kendrick Lamar said it himself. There are no round twos. So we don't need a round two. As much as Drake is egging it on. I mean, I think we don't need that anymore. I mean, it's over. It's what it is. It happened. You know? They traded song for song, and ultimately the person who came out the victor. If you want to go cry, but if you want to keep saying that Drake won, cool, but stop crying about it. We know who won. We know who the victor is. We know who the at the end of the day the people chose and the people decided. The victor is this person. Now that he has the spot, I feel like now that he has the spot he has, it's time to deliver as much as you can in a way that in a way that only you can deliver versus how Drake delivers, you know, when he was sitting where he was sitting. Not to say that he's not still an important person. It's just he's not at that spot where he was anymore, in my opinion. His music still go crazy, but it's not the same anymore. It's not the same after this all this stuff happened. So let me just get off of that real quick. Um What else do I have here? What else do I have here? All right, so or do I want to just end it here? Let me see, because this is kind of old now. Let's see here. Okay, so um, but like I feel like a lot of this is old news, but no, 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 no. Let me see. Yeah, I'll close it out here. So I want to close this out with a reflection on cleansing our spirits for success. The battles we face, whether internal or external, can only be won if we are spiritually grounded. Um, Clearing your house spiritually is a metaphor of the eyes as gates to the soul. Um, think of your eyes as a metaphoric gate to your soul. Just as physical gates allow or restrict entry, your eyes control what you perceive and consequently what influences you. Everything you see that has the potential to impact your mental, emotionally, and spiritually in a state. The clarity and purity of these gates are crucial for maintaining a harmonious and balanced life. Um, just as a cluttered room can cause stress and distraction, a cluttered mind filled with negative influences can create mental chaos. Spiritual cleansing of your space through practices like meditation, prayer, or ritual cleansing helps to eliminate these distractions. It allows you to focus on positive, life affirming experiences, fostering mental clarity and emotional stability. By clearing your home spiritually, you transform your environment into a sanctuary. The sacred space becomes a haven where you can retreat, reflect, and rejuvenate. It's not just about removing physical clutter, but also about addressing spiritual and emotional baggage that may have accumulated over time. When your space is clear and sacred, it reflects positively on your internal state, making it easier to navigate life's challenges. Energy flows through your environment just as it does through your body. Spiritually cleansing aligns this flow, ensuring that positive energy can move freely while negative or stagnant energy is dispelled. This enhanced flow supports your personal growth and well being, creating a harmonious connection between your physical space and your inner self. Uh, s- a spiritually clear environment equips you with resilience against external stresses when your eyes and thus your mind and soul are not bombarded by negative stimuli. You're better able to handle adversity. The resilience stems from having a stable, supportive environment where you can focus on personal development and emotional healing. I'm saying all that to say, um, just as you would carefully maintain a gate to protect and control entry, so too should you manage the influences that enter through your eyes. By nurturing this metaphorical gate, you cultivate a life of balance and positivity and spiritual fulfillment. Um, Take your time to clean your house. And I mean, really clean your house. Um, and understand the metaphor of your eyes as gates to your soul provides a holistic approach to well being. It's about creating a sanctuary that reflects your inner state and supports your journey towards personal and spiritual growth. As you cleanse and cultivate your environment, remember that this process is not just about removing the negative, but also welcoming the positive and nurturing the best within yourself. This process ensures that you continually evolve and thrive in both your physical and spiritual spaces. Success is not just measured by fame or fortune, it's found in peace and purpose and self awareness. Take time to reflect, connect with your inner self, and embark on the journey to success with a clear mind and a clean spirit. Take care of yourself, guys. I'll see you next time, man.